without determination, without grit, without perseverance, for sure I will not be here, right? Because there's failures, there is money loss, there's friendships lost, a lot of things that we can feel like something is wrong or I am not belonging or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I allow the feeling of whatever kind of mistake, of error, or whatever, and then I just let go because I feel that there is something so much meaningful in mentalism or whatever what I do to just the moment, right? There is a deeper kind of purpose. So I am finding that, and if I don't persevere, I will sabotage myself. So I need to have those principles, right? To pursue my art form, pursue my career, pursue my relationship. So if I don't have that very clear, yeah, we can wander to.
Great. So we're going to jump straight into it. Welcome to The Process.
Thank
We
you.
have a special guest here, Mr. Pablo Amirá. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Precisely. There are many pronunciations, and you did one.
I did one. From which region do you come from specifically?
My great grandfather came from Greece. I live in
Oh,
Chile, in South
okay.
America.
Yeah.
And yeah, he took the long way. He almost stopped at Argentina. He did all the big journey into Chile, and in there he started his journey. And here I am.
And cool. And just for people who aren't familiar with you, what like how would you define like your style or your practices? Like what you do exactly?
Well, obviously, because I am here, I am a mentalist. I love mentalism. I love magic. I started in these explorations as soon as I saw a weird guy called David Blaine that
Mhm.
he mystified people on the streets, apparently just with a few things and wonderful moments, and that captivated me, enchanted me, and from that in 2006 started the journey.
Okay.
So for me, it's a fantastic art form because I practiced several art from my childhood. I practiced poetry, theater, music, and others. And when I arrived to magic and mentalism, I find kind of not my best art in a way. I feel
Mhm.
that music is kind of even more impactful in myself, but mentalism is clearly a place in which I can share some of my creativity in a very unique way, right? Because there are not many magicians and mentalists. And through my experience, I found out that people liked what I do, that find that they can feel a real moment of mystery and mentalism. So that's why I also pursue the art. In my beginnings, I start just to do some fun social interactions, and people start asking me for shows, professional shows. And I didn't have a clue, but they say, yeah, sure, why not? I didn't have clothing, I didn't have props. So, in a way, also that led me to mentalism in the sense that mentalism uses paper, pens, right? Maybe a deck of cards. So, that for me was a beautiful kind of template of exploration.
See, because what you're saying resonates for me. I see that there's a lot of instruments and different things in the back. And if
Yeah.
I understood correctly, you started in 2006. Is this correct or?
Yeah. Yeah.
So would you say that the fact that you discovered this later in life was beneficial for you because you already had the creative background for the rest?
Exactly. Right now, in my childhood, I had some kind of experience with magic, not in the sense that I did magic, but I saw David Copperfield, the classic kind of world greatest magic and all that. And I saw something interesting, beautiful, but I never got that kind of enthusiasm that I got when I was 18, right? I just get out of high school and I started my university, my college, and maybe in some way magic and mentalism reached me in a way that opened me a new personality, right? In a way, I
Hmm.
close a first stage of my development in that high school graduation and all that, and I say now, what comes next? And in a way, right, everything came together to say, okay, pursue that way. Maybe that's a beautiful art form that you can cultivate, and that's kind of the way. And surely maturity helps in a way that
Yeah.
I always try to offer not just a trick, not just
Hmm.
a playful demonstration, which is fun,
An
right?
experience and an exchange.
Exactly, something meaningful, something subtle, simple, but at the same time, something that can be memorable. Why not? Right? Why
Yeah.
not?
No, I agree because example for if you write music and stuff or even cooking or stuff like that, uh, there's an emotional connection that can get done through either the music or the words and stuff like that. So I could just imagine you when you discover the world of magic, and that becomes just another palette to express in a
Exactly.
different way. But it's just that
Exactly.
instead of being typical artistic interpretations like painting and stuff, this one is mysterious because it evokes certain things like you know
Yeah.
what, so it brings another dimension to an art form that you can't have with all the others are incredible
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
but this one it kind of like because you can put cooking, you can put painting, you can put music into mentalism, you know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like a way to bring that all together. So I could just imagine you
Exactly.
during the yeah. And tell me,
Yeah.
so when you say when you perform and you say like you want to share a little bit of yourself, do you have like a stage name or anything like that?
No, just my name.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I found out that I didn't need a special kind of character. Obviously, when I perform and I am on stage, there is some differences, of course, in various kind of even dramatic aspects of
Mhm.
talking, of engaging with people, of showing objects, right? Not in my everyday, I show something like this, right? Because I need to show to the audience, but there's some accentuations that we need to do, but the name
Yeah,
is the
but your
same.
personality amplified.
Exactly, right? And obviously amplifies in some things, and in some things we need to learn how to decrease that. For example, in my personality, I am shy. I am
Mhm,
introvert, right?
mhm,
I
mhm,
prefer to be in my own world. So it's kind of very weird why I decided, quote unquote, to get into a stage for the same reason, right? Because I was very shy, and in a way I
mhm.
am very shy, but I am now, I know how to modulate that, right? So I
Yeah.
allow myself to be more introvert, to be less social, but when the performance comes, I take another kind of role, another role, right? So that's kind of the flexibility also in a psychological way of being a performer.
Cool. And so for people who aren't familiar with the podcast and the process, well, basically the name, the process, it comes from what I discovered is that consciously or unconsciously, there's five creative steps in the process of coming up with an idea. And what I found interesting in this project is to discuss with people such as yourself. Everyone has the same five questions or the same five steps, and we discuss. And what's fun is that over time, there's kind of like a thread, you know, that comes through, and
Nice.
hopefully over time, this will
Yeah.
serve for other people to, you know, elevate their craft and stuff like that. So these steps being, well, initially, step one is inspiration, what people do on a day-to-day regular to keep inspired. Step two is incubation. So how do you set aside time to marinate those ideas, those prospect ideas? Step three would be the eureka moment. So basically, when you have that illumination, okay, it comes out. So what happens to you? Do you need to stop everything and you jump in right away? Like, how do you go about that? Step four would be the exploration. So once that you have the
Nice.
idea, and that, how are you going to, you're developing it, okay? And then the final step, basically, and one that basically ties into you as well, is implementation. Because for certain people, step three is enough. Cracking the shell and getting the puzzle is for them that it's enough. But other people, they give a new life to this thing, such as yourself, or we'll be able to discuss this because you have a platform for this. So let's say if we start with step one, inspiration. I mean, right off the bat, we could see those instruments and stuff like that. So, but what would you say that you do to keep the inspiration like heightened? Like, do you try to do things out of your comfort zone, or like what do you do to try and keep that motivation, that inspiration up?
Yeah. Yeah, from my early ages, I always was very open, right? In psychology, uh, there is kind of five aspects of personality of one, and one of them is openness. And I
Mhm.
am very high in openness. And I mean that I like to experience things. I like to be vulnerable in the correct spaces, of
Yes.
course.
Yeah.
I enjoy the novelty of everything, right? So for me, inspiration is a lifestyle. It's an
Yes, it is.
daily and everyday openness of watching the sky and connect to gratefulness and
1000%.
to be
It's
and
everywhere.
exactly right. So obviously there are some kind of more crystallized spaces in music, books, and all art, right? People, conversations, relations, everything. But more than that is from the moment that I wake up to the moment I sleep and go again, right? So, in a way, life inspires you
Hmm.
at the integrative concept. Now,
But you
we
you see
can
this.
see,
You
yeah,
you see this, but how, like, could you say that everyone has the capability of seeing life with childlike eyes where everything is
of
wonder?
course. Of course, we need to unlearn a lot of things.
That is right.
Sometimes,
See, that's what I want to hear. Yeah.
sometimes in our society, we think that we need to reach something and we need to advance and learn and know more. And in a way, it's fun to know more, of course. We're talking about creativity, but the fundamental aspect is to be, as you said, a childlike entity of awe to realize that even though every day unfolds itself like a normal day, that in itself is magic. Why? Right? I love philosophy as well. So, especially in my childhood, I had this weird question of why everything is happening,
Hmm.
right? Who secures this?
Hmm. Yes. Yeah.
How is this reality being so harmonious, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a beautiful mystery to be in touch and to sometimes let go a little bit of this craziness of our modern society of anxiety of too much kind of cement and technology and go to nature to go to rest in the grass and see the sky trees, right? I love to connect with nature. That's why I also enjoy my rhythm, right? I don't
Yeah.
perform
To
that
respect
much,
your rhythm.
but yeah, I don't perform that much because that's a decision. I don't like to burn out myself in that. I like to do the best possible whenever the opportunity comes, professionally and socially. And the rest of the time, I like to do nothing. I like to rest. I like
Yeah.
to
But
play
you say
music, right?
nothing. You say nothing, and that reminds me of a conversation with my wife because certain people they feel the need that they're given a certain amount of hours in the day and they want to maximize the efficiency of that time.
Yeah,
And for certain people, without it being a bad thing, efficiency means activity.
exactly.
But sometimes, like you're saying, because I like in these conversations where I have with people, there's certain elements that come through. Just walking in the grass barefoot, even as an adult, it feels good. It grounds you, because and that's another thing with you that I appreciate is that, like you're saying that, you're introvert and, like reserved and all that. And that, well, first of all, to be able to admit that it's a form of strength, because
Yeah,
certain people don't want to be vulnerable in the society because I'm gonna get taken advantage of. But it takes strength to be able to be open like that. So, well, with this thing, so if we continue with that, well, you're saying that just in the nature and stuff. So, is there stuff like that? do you meditate or anything else like that to maybe
Yeah, of course.
okay?
Of course, right? Mentalism for me is not just an art form or a hobby or an activity, but it's a philosophy, right? That we need to cultivate our mind through the rational aspect of learning and reading and all that, but also another aspects of understanding the nature of the psyche. What is this that I don't touch, but it is also me, right? And a lot of these explorations are completely needed. So we need to learn how to meditate. As a matter of fact, at my site, I have a course for mystery performers about meditation, which is a full month of reflections of my experience in how to self-knowledge, deep self-knowledge gives you better resources as mystery performer because you will be more authentic, you will be relaxed if you are very nervous before a performance, right? Creativity unfolds by itself and you just watch the creation moves, right? So it's essential to understand what we call mind, especially if we use it as a theme in performance.
For sure. And for people who aren't familiar with the website, the name of it is.
Yeah, mentalismcenter.com is the hub of myself and various friends, including yourself, your work, in which we share not just practical and good mentalism, but also these fundamental philosophical aspects that sometimes a sprinkle and is just a little spicing up in ourselves can create a beautiful new space of opportunities.
For sure. I don't want to practice for my preach for my own choir or anything, but what I appreciate about that platform specifically is the tools that are given. It's not like you're saying you're selling a trick where it could only do one thing. It's basically it's systems, a lot of
Exactly.
systems for people to take that and to make it their own, and
Exactly.
it's tools for them to develop their own style, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
it's not like
that's my
yeah.
work, right? I publish what I use. And that's kind of a very good point that you said because I like principles. I like versatile props. So maybe I can use a prop for only one piece, but rarely. I prefer to always find this kind of open possibilities. And also that's very practical in a more pragmatic sense, but also gives you the creative edge of observing one object in different ways, which
Well,
for me
yeah.
is very important.
For sure. And before we go to like step two, just for a personal curiosity, do you enjoy mathematics by any chance?
Of course, I love
That's
mathematics.
the-
Before studying psychology, I studied engineer, and
Oh,
obviously I went away because I love mathematics. But in the early stages, I never understood the higher weird things. But I still read a little bit about mathematics, especially the more integrative, more kind of in a way esoteric
yep.
combinations of mathematics and
Fibonacci.
investigations of consciousness, right? So now Pythagoras is not just a mathematician, but he was a very knowledgeable master, right, in these mind topics, right? So mathematics is very fun, very it offers us a very kind of clear dimension of possibilities. One, two, three, the numbers, right?
Oh,
Numbers
yeah.
are very powerful, and
Oh my goodness,
sometimes
yes.
we use them in such a casual way, but numbers are archetypes, numbers are mysteries, right?
There's so much for people to discover, huh? And just
Yeah.
out of curiosity, also, how do you have you been using AI at all in your like the inspiration part, or how's that going for
A
you? A
little
little bit,
bit,
huh?
not that much. Yeah, a little bit. We talked like a few months about that, but uh, I find a very interesting kind of extra conversation, right? I never, maybe I will never replace the conversation with a good friend about that idea to ChatGPT or whatever, right? So it's a tool, and we need to learn to use that tool as any tool, really.
Exactly. So if we go to phase two, basically the incubation. So like you're saying, you seem to be saying that you're like a very free spirit where I'm not going to say no structure or anything, but you have a family. Like you have children, no?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 1 3 year old.
See, well, fantastic. Congratulations. A little boy by any chance or?
Yeah, little boy. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice. So how do you set aside like time within your day to well basically you still have your company your website
Yeah, yeah,
you have to be inspired you have to be there for the family how do you go about juggling these things like?
Yeah, that's very important because it's not that I don't have a structure. As a matter of fact, I need a structure in
Hmm
order to improvise. It's like jazz, right? I love jazz.
hmm hmm
And even before mentalism, jazz as a music style and a way of understanding gave me the kind of understanding of improvisation, which is not just playing whatever, but knowing what you can play, select what you need to play.
hmm
And in family time, in performance, in creativity is the same, right? Improvisation for me is a fundamental principle. So I have the structure. I am very kind of not rigid, but very determined.
Rigorous.
Yeah, with my times, I wake up
Yeah,
to a moment. Most of the
I
days are
appreciate
kind
that.
of the
Yeah,
same, right?
yeah,
But at the
yeah.
same time, when I have a free time,
You're
I
free.
exactly I become flexible, right? So every day I get one moment. That's key. It doesn't matter if I have 2 hours or 10 minutes. No, there is one moment always for meditation, let's say, to find myself. And in that myselfness, I maybe will create something or I will read or whatever, right? But every day I need a moment to
Hmm
get in touch with me. If
Yes.
so, I start just moving like a machine, right? So I do psychotherapy, I run Mentalism Center, I am a father and a husband and a son and a friend, right? So the, we need order so we can find the disorder, right? So that free spirit that you have needs to be rooted in kind of a good schedule. Of
Do you think that you need discipline too to be able to be prolific in
course.
this?
Yeah, yeah. Especially in my experience, at least, with all my limitations, especially at the beginning of language, of contacts, of everything, without determination, without grit, without perseverance, for sure I will not be here, right? Because there's failures, there is money loss, there's friendships lost, a lot of things that we can feel like something is wrong or I am not belonging or whatever. No,
Hmm
right? I allow the feeling of whatever kind of mistake, of error or whatever, and then I just let go because I feel that there is something so much meaningful in mentalism or whatever what I do to just the moment, right? There is a deeper kind of purpose. So I am finding that. And if I don't persevere, I will sabotage myself. So I need to have those principles, right? To pursue my art form, pursue my career, pursue my relationship. So if I don't have that very clear, yeah, we can wander to any
The
space.
reason why I ask is because there's certain debates that come up where methods or systems, I'll give you a popular name example, like from Friedan Bilek,
Yeah,
where certain people, or even certain things from Peter Turner, where people will say it's too hard, I can't do that.
yeah, yeah.
Because when you're talking about determination and making mistakes and stuff like that, do you feel that there's certain things in mentalism that are off limits for certain people, or everything is open to everyone with the right determination?
Very good, right? Maybe there is a style thing
Some
for
maybe I
Fedon,
think,
for
yeah.
Peter, right? That in some styles you are not too much worried about the goal in a way, or
Uh-huh.
you know how to
Serve.
adjust, right? So maybe and in a way nobody needs to be like nobody else, right?
No,
If I read a routine from whatever author and say that doesn't fit me, fine. Now what fits me,
exactly. Who
right?
are you?
Exactly, right? We
I
don't
think
need to
maybe this
copy
is the
anyone.
theme of our thing here with the meditation and everything.
Exactly,
It
right?
seems to be like,
So
yeah, finding yourself.
yeah, and I also like the idea of reflection in the way that
Hmm
everything that I see outside, I also need to see inside. So in the case of what you said about a difficulty of a routine, sure, don't do it like him. Because
Exactly, yeah.
when we publish something, we publish one version.
hmm
That's not their version. That's
No.
kind of silly, right? Because
hmm
everything comes from something. Even
Yes.
the beginnings of mentalism, when we say, okay, use the center tear and this billet technique that you can tear and keep at peace, that comes from spiritual disciples. We didn't invent that, right? We get that technique and we adapt it to our performance. So everything comes from something else, right? So there is no one version, there's no the way. Read
Yeah.
everything and ask yourself and reverse that. How can I do it? Why I
Yeah.
want to do that, right?
Because would you suggest to people who are reading, let's say, on techniques, okay, and let's say they try to do a center tear, for example, and they
Yeah.
always get caught on the peak,
Yeah.
okay, because they're trying to do it, um, yeah,
Exactly.
the way that's in the book,
Exactly. Yeah.
because the culture seems to say that is there's a right way,
Exactly.
and that is for me, I
That's
hate that.
that's anti-creativity.
It's
Right?
ridiculous.
That's 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 the antonym of creativity.
Yeah.
There's no right way. There is
No.
your way, and you need
Yeah.
to find your way. So for
Exactly.
me, anyone is creative now.
Yeah.
Not anyone will be Dali. Not everyone will be Max Maven. Not every no, because you need to be yourself, and that's the hard task, right? The hard quest is to find your own potential and to see, okay, what can I do with what I have, right? For example, in my work, pendulums are beautiful,
Yeah.
essential, and in a way
That's
so
your
simple.
oracle.
Right, I love pendulums. I always have one with me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And whenever I share with people some ways to do it, they say what you told that,
Here you
yeah,
go.
yeah, there is too much difficulty. What happens? It doesn't move, right? Because you are worried about the thing that will not move. It will not move because you need to change your inner reality first to change the outer reality. So, for example, for pendulums are kind of second nature. I always will find a way to create movement or to
That's your
create
thing.
something relevant, right? Because it's not even about the movement of the pendulum, it's about the
No.
power of the mind,
Yeah.
right? So, any way in which you can find that, cool. Now, most people in magic and mentalism, they have a too much linear thinking, right? I am doing something and this will happen.
Yeah.
Then,
An expectation.
exactly, right? And with your example of the center turn, if I do this, I will be able to pick as the guy in the video and I will have the action reactions like the guy in the video.
Yeah.
No. You need to
No.
find how you do the center turn, how you will motivate the secret action. Why are you? You need to find that for yourself. Don't believe in anyone. Anyone is giving you ways, possibilities, but find your way. And then you will not get caught because you will understand that it's not about hiding the center there, but creating something that is relevant in the outside, right? So that shifts the focus.
Would you agree then on that point? Because we're talking about difficulty of doing a trick because you have an expectation of I want to do it like Fedon and na.
Yeah,
And I had that when I was discussing with him, it's like because there's a reason why there's certain things work for certain people, and I think that's because you have to, like you're saying, it's your personality.
yeah,
When you're able to disarm someone with your composure, half the work is already done. They're not expecting
yeah,
anything. You know what I mean?
right, right.
So I think it's not that you're communicating that people need to like find themselves first. Because
Yeah,
would you maybe agree that even
yeah,
a person that has 20% skills and 80% personality will probably be better
exactly.
than someone with
Yeah,
80% skills and 20%
exactly.
personality?
And because personality is also a skill,
Listen,
right?
it is. It's,
Right?
it
So
is.
if we observe that everything is a technique, everything, the tone of
Everything.
voice,
Yeah.
the eye gazing,
The lifestyle. You were saying it, the lifestyle.
exactly right.
Yeah.
They remember the name of the participants, so they
Yeah.
feel that you care about them because you really care. It's
Yeah.
not technique for the sake of pretending, it's really caring. So if I
Natural.
really care about a telepathic moment, let's say, using a center, okay, I will rehearse in my home. I will record myself. I will see every moment of my timing. So even if I am doing a very bold pick, there is nothing to see because there is something to see outside. Because the conversation is interesting, right? So when we limit ourselves in mentalism, particularly with the notion that the technique in this routine is the center, we are wrong because that's the core method. That's kind of the essential technique, of course. We need the center turn, but we also need connection. We also need take a deep breath, connect with the
Yeah.
video. That's
Yeah.
technical, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't cultivate or incubate my personality as a skill, I will lose that potential.
And for that, would you say that to not be afraid so much of making a mistake if they go and do and that?
Of course, right? And again, for me, it's essential not just practice, but the rehearsal. And
Oh yeah.
that comes from my musician times, even before mentalism, in which I practice alone in my home how to do the chords, how to do
And
the
you're
movements.
visualizing?
Exactly, right? I'm
Yeah, you're
playing.
visualizing exactly. Yeah.
I am with my guitar
And you're in
playing the
the
chord.
show. And you're live.
Yeah,
And the people are there.
exactly. But then I need to go to rehearsal with the band.
Yeah.
And that's a different moment in my
Yes.
inner work.
Yeah.
Because if I practice in my rehearsal,
Hmm.
people will get mad with me because everyone practice at home. When
Yeah.
you need to do your practice at home, at the rehearsal, in the moment in which in mentalism, in which you imagine yourself with the audience, with the participant, and you
That's it.
get a little bit mad, and you become a little bit of a delusional one, and you really am with somebody here, and you talk with this person, and you give the paper, and I look away, and everything is rehearsal. So the performance is
Yeah.
rehearsal with the audience,
Yeah. No, for
right?
sure. Yeah. So it comes back. We see
And
we're doing
then
a loop there. The
yeah,
discipline and
exactly
having the
right.
yeah and the structure.
There are some steps. So then, about what you said about shyness or nervousness or fear, right? I know that if I am not well prepared in front of an audience,
Hmm.
in front of someone,
Yeah.
I will get shy, I
Yeah.
will stutter,
Yeah.
I will get my throat very thirsty, I will shake. So because I rehearse,
Hmm.
I will not experience that. I will experience the fear. But
Yeah.
that fear, that anxiety becomes energy, right? I am here, I feel my body, I feel the moment, and all this energy goes to the experience. And that's why nervousness, fear is your best friend, but you need to learn how to
Yeah.
talk with that.
So, Mr. Amira, you're doing all these things, you're meditating, and then bang, out of the forest, an idea.
Yeah.
What happens? And like, is there certain things that you have? Like, do you have, let's say, a recipe that you that you've found over time that when I'm not going to say that the gestation period is so short that you say, if I do this in 2 days, I'm going to have the perfect idea. I'm not saying that,
No.
but are you able to have a structure where it naturally like you produce ideas like
Yeah.
regularly and
Yeah. Yeah. And in a way, the first thing that I do when the eureka moment
yeah,
arrives
yeah,
is say thanks to
yeah,
the
I agree. Yeah,
unconscious,
yeah,
to the
that's
creator, to
crazy.
the
Yeah,
universe, whatever,
yeah,
right?
the
Because
gift.
for me, for me, creativity is a transpersonal experience. I am not creating. I am receiving. I
You're a
am
vessel.
exactly. And
That's
this sounds
crazy if
kind
you're
of,
saying that.
yeah,
I
but
don't want to
it
cut
is
you off.
real,
Sorry,
right?
I'm just like because it's getting. It's like it's. I keep hearing these things about people when you do these practices, meditating, being conscious, being grateful,
Yeah.
taking. There's something that happens.
Exactly, right? The universe say yes, some people say, to everything. So if I try because I have a problem, most probably just the idea that sounds is problem, hard, difficult, right? And sometimes we need to sit down, we need to kind of get more focus, of course, right? It's not nothing wrong about it. But for me, it's essential the relaxation both in action and non-action. I need to be relaxed, and if I am not relaxed, I am not creative because I am tense, I am compressed, and
Mhm.
I
You're
let
closing. Yeah.
go of
Mhm.
exactly. I let go of this transpersonal dimension, as I said, and I embody it here, and I feel anxious, and I feel small, whatever, right? But when I open, when I am grateful, when I am playing, when I am in this kind of awe state, whatever needs to come comes, and I say thanks, right?
Yeah, for sure. And when those ideas come, well, I'm guessing you have multiple projects going at the same time.
Yeah, of course, and in a way sometimes creativity surprises me because a new project comes and that was not prepared. So okay, what I need to do, okay, I need to do this, and I was researching this but I now need to research that, right? So in a way the ego needs to be humble enough to say, okay, this is the kind of higher will, let's say, or what I really need to do. So it's get in touch with intuition, right? Intuition is a real phenomenon. When
Oh
we
yeah.
treat it like something artificial, it becomes just something that is a theme in performance and use your intuition. But it's real, right? We need to hear not just our mind, but also our gut, our inner kind of more primitive brain. And in that moment, we can combine reason and intuition, and we have a much more clear path and different paths, possibilities, right?
Would you agree that intuition can be cultivated and reinforced?
Yeah, yeah, and obviously there is kind of a psychological aspect in which there are more people that are natural intuitive or they tend more to intuition, right? There are
Mhm.
people that more feeling nature or thinking nature or
Mhm.
sensing, right? I personally find myself a very intuitive person, so that combination of being introverted and intuitive is kind of a dangerous one if I don't use it well, so I need to use it
No, yeah,
well.
I
So
agree. Mhm.
that's discipline, right?
Yeah. So, and when the idea comes, is there like a pattern where it happens more at night or yeah, it's more at night?
I
It's
yeah, if I need to choose, yeah, night has this kind of darkness, the moon and culture, right?
Okay.
But also in the day, right? In
Like,
nature, talking with a
yeah.
friend, something kind of clicks and oh, that's the thing. I need to jot it down, right? For me,
Okay, that's what I was
writing.
gonna say. You can jot it down and get back to it, or you have to go and do it.
No, I sometimes write it and I
Oh,
don't
wow.
come back. Or in a way, writing for me is putting it into my unconscious.
Yeah.
So then when the moment arrives,
Yeah.
boop, the eureka connects, right? In a
Yeah.
way, I do my part in writing, in receiving, but if I feel that this is not the moment to work in this,
Yeah.
fine. I store it, let's say. And
The key,
then,
yeah.
boop, yeah, but my work is done in writing, right? In my phone, I have thousands of notes. I
Yeah.
have in here several of these kind of leather notebooks, right?
Yeah.
Full with ideas of any kind, right?
Yeah. But
It
it's
has been
written.
everything.
Thi-
Written, right?
this is something that
Hand,
comes back often in the conversations where people
yeah.
who are like, not to be all witchy and the universe and the crystals and the frequency, like not to, like, not all that, but something that comes back often is that when you consciously write, you're physically taking
Yeah.
it's like it's alchemy basically.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
From
taking the
something that
and you're
hasn't have
materializing it.
form, you made it form. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
find that so
And that,
important to write. Like that's a
yeah,
lost thing people do. Even if you don't
yeah,
like, it doesn't need to be clean. It doesn't need
yeah,
to be that doesn't need to be organized, but you have to write it down.
exactly. And sometimes I do small drawings that they
Yeah,
function me as an anchor. So whenever I, in a way, need to connect that idea, you also remember the symbol that I wrote,
a
right? So,
sigil.
right, yeah, a symbol, a sigil maybe, or any type of visual representation that
Yeah,
complements the rational aspect of
yeah,
writing, but also kind of a small visual element that gets even deeper in the unconscious, right?
yeah. I love this. I'm loving the conversation. Thanks.
Yeah, me too, me too.
Okay, so Eureka, fantastic. You've got an idea. Now it's the exploration.
Yeah.
How long, let's say, do you put into like an idea until you feel like you brought it to the maximum that it could be?
Oof. I still perform some routines from my
Yeah,
beginnings and I still polish them,
yeah,
right? So there are some pieces that they will take several lifetimes. I don't believe in recognition, but if so, several lifetimes because there is always something to add, to subtract, to explore, to see what if, right? Sometimes no, yes, but it's all part of the game, right? To have my repertoire, to understand what I want to do, right? What I want to create in the experience, and which pieces allows me to do that. So I work on them. Sometimes I work in new ideas, sometimes I retain, right? But as a kind of number, let's say a few months
oh
by
yeah, yeah,
the
okay,
minimum, right? To really sit down with this and to see different possibilities of handling, of prop, maybe a playing card, or maybe tarot card, or maybe ESP card, or maybe a drawing, right? So there is time for everything, but the important thing is to love the creation. Because if you just create for the sake of creation and you
Mhm,
just create and put it in your kind of forgotten place,
mhm, mhm.
eh, maybe there is a much caring way to use that idea, because an idea is not something rigid. There is crystallization in that,
Yeah.
but in alchemical language we can also distillate, we can dissolve, right? So nothing is written in stone. We need to adjust. Maybe I don't want to talk about that topic from my beginnings. I took a psychological kind of approach because I never felt kind of the maturity to talk about kind of more esoteric themes. So I like them, but I didn't have any gray hair or any kind of real story, and I have them. So I can use that, right? So it's all about playing, about exploring, about seeing what is the demanding of that piece to me. In a way, I need to
Mhm.
talk with that idea, not just putting my work, but also kind of feed back
Yeah.
the the relationship and also the performance, right? For me, also performance is relevant because allows me to close the circle, to experiment with that idea and then come back to the laboratory and say, okay, this worked, this didn't work, I need to change this, keep this, right? So it's a constant program. It's a constant work.
And when you work on these things, do you prefer being in a a hermit, like a closed shell where you're the only one looking at this, or do you bounce ideas off of other people, or because sometimes
Yeah,
there's a little bit of not to say afraidness, but it's certain people who don't want to share because there's a whole
yeah,
the ego, like sometimes
yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah,
afraid of like other people's appropriating the ideas, and
yeah.
when you talk about ideas, so like how do you go about that? Do you
Yeah,
collaborate?
well, yeah, yeah, of course. I love to talk with several close friends, and that's kind of a point that if you are not trusting your friend, maybe it's not your friend, right? Maybe it's your colleague in mentalism that
Hmm,
you can
hmm,
share some things, but there are other people in the mentalism community that I consider friends and I trust in them and I know that they have their own way of presenting mentalism. So in no way they can steal it from me because they will not creating something authentic. And I know that for that person, authenticity is a value. So of course that he will not take my idea. Why, right? It is as ridiculous for me to take his idea and make it in my repertoire. Why, right? I am losing time. I
hmm,
am not I am not him. I don't have his style. I love his style, but I don't do it. For
hmm,
example, in a very kind of very simple idea, I love metal bending, psychokinesis, spoon bending, right? And personally, I only use spoons, rarely forks. I don't like the aesthetic. But I have a friend that has a beautiful fork bending and beautiful. And I love him performing it,
hmm.
but I don't do it because it's not my style, right? So I trust my friends, my real friends.
Ah, cool. So, and with these projects, like you're saying, are you able to, how can I say, how do you know when the project it's ready to go to step five?
Nice, nice. Well,
Even if it's still growing, because like you're saying, creativity
yeah,
it's
exactly.
organic, like and you have to
Yeah,
accept like
yeah.
give or take.
Especially in publications, right? Whenever
Yeah.
you want to offer something for money, I have this kind of business relationship. Whenever I feel that has enough quality that equals the value in terms of price. Again, because it's
Hmm,
about price, especially for professional work, not just creating, releasing products in Metal Center, but in professional performance. Why I am asking that amount of money? Can I ask more?
hmm,
My performance has that value? If so, ask for that. Because maybe people want to pay that, but understanding that they are receiving that quality
hmm,
as a part of your service, right? So whenever I feel that something has the quality that I feel it needs,
hmm.
I publish it or I offer a new show or a theatrical show or whatever, right? It's all about the quantity of quality or the amount of work that this has, right?
Well, I find out what's difficult is that because your approach, like I find it's very not to say that it's thoughtful in regards to the clients, like the consumer, but what happens is that there's so many other companies, it's not naming names or anything like that, that have put the price, like elevated the cost of certain thing, and then what they deliver is so low
Yeah,
that it
exactly.
creates an instability in the market for other, creators who want to sell
Yeah,
something at the right price, but then they can't get the exposure. So I find that
exactly.
that's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit challenging. Like I don't know
Yeah,
if you
good
have an
point. Yeah,
approach to
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. For me, sounds weird, but Mentalism Center is more like a mission than a
We
profession.
just added the name, like before I even knew who you were or anything like that. Okay, for me, when I saw like okay, Mentalism Center, it evokes something that it's like a continuous education,
Exactly,
like a
right?
university.
It's a relationship with someone that is trusting me his or her own money. And I, in my first years, even, I feel like very weird and amazing to people is paying me internationally
Ah,
through money that I never touch. And
yeah,
at the same time, I receive and I bought
yeah,
some things with that, right?
yeah,
For me, it's a beautiful relationship, the
yeah.
business. But for me, it's not a business, right? So
No,
sometimes I lose money,
yeah,
sometimes I invest time that then is not kind of well feedback, but everything is learning. So maybe that's an advantage for me that my business is not really a business. I am not having business to business relationship, but also I always try to find human to human conversation. And
it's
if
heartfelt.
someone
It's very heartfelt.
exactly, yeah, and maybe that's a privilege because my business is not very large and I don't want to become big or
But
whatever.
it's more
I just
family. It's like family oriented.
exactly. Yeah, and it's an organic growth in
Yeah.
technical aspects, right? I never pay publicity or
No.
do kind of
But you
more
work very hard. I mean, you're always constant with the posts on like Instagram and the
that,
quotes
that
and like it's
that,
nonstop.
yeah, yeah. That's a very good point, right? Since I, if my memory doesn't fail to me, like 2015 or 16, I post every Monday the quote of the
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
because that's my inspiration for the week, and I'm
Yeah.
sharing it, right? So
Exactly.
I am creating content from
Yeah.
something that really has
Your
value for
lifestyle.
me because it's my study for the
Yeah.
week, and every quote of the week is inspiring me.
Yeah.
So if nobody cares, well, at least I care.
No, but you know
But
what? It's because it's cultivating like-minded collaborative.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. And that legacy, or maybe the duration in years of, okay, we are doing these scenes, right?
Hmm.
This time, for example, Mentalism Center started like with another name, and I started in 2010. So
Hmm.
technically, I have 15 years in this online kind of creation of content and ideas. So I adjust myself in some things, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube videos, and all that. But also, it's a game for me. I love to do it, so it's not work.
No, no, it
So,
shows. It shows
yeah,
because even
yeah,
the
thank you.
photos, like from someone who works in graphic design, I tell that you even do a graphic treatment to the photos before you put them on.
Yeah, yeah, because I like to add something, right?
Yeah,
I like to create beautiful things, at least for me. So if
but
I feel that
it's longer, Pablo. It's longer. You have to have time for the family.
yeah, and I am blessed. I have time. So, for example, in terms of more kind of pragmatic ideas, I always like to work at the morning.
Hmm.
I wake up 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and as soon as my child is in the playground
Playpen, yeah,
and my wife is at work, I focus in my whatever I need to do during the day, and I have free time. Now, if I have clients in a psychotherapy during the day, of course, I need to find an hour for them. But I like to work early. So then to 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. I am free, right?
Mhm.
Ah, that's fantastic. So I have all that free time. And then when family arrives, of course, I need to be focused primarily on that. But also, they accept me. They love me as I am, and I need some alone time sometimes. So I enter to my office, I focus in my work, and they do whatever they do. But obviously, as you said, we need family time, but th- everything needs to adjust as well.
But you know, I find it very admirable because, well, I mean, you don't have any other, like, you don't work in anything else. Like, th this is what you do, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But it shows, like you're saying, that you have to get up and you're efficient in the morning. And I mean, that's discipline, you know?
yeah,
So
exactly.
for
Yeah,
people sometimes to expect, I'm going to get a book and I'm going to read 3 pages and I'm going to be a prodigy of mentalism. And
no,
you know what I mean? It's just, it's not, that's not the right approach. I mean, if you
no.
want to be fun at your parties on the weekend,
Yeah,
no problem.
yeah,
But if
of
you
course.
want to like have this as an art form,
Exactly.
take your time, you know.
Exactly.
And speaking of
Yeah,
time, because I don't want to keep you too long, I know like step five, the implementation. So we're already in the mentalism center and all that. So what like first inspired you to say, I want to create a platform where I could expose this? And also because what happens, like I have magic sounds, like that's my thing, but I'm the only one on magic sounds, you know.
yeah,
But you have other artists.
yeah.
Would I mean that just that is like a whole other thing, you know? So
Yeah,
how
yeah.
like what's your experience in this?
Yeah, it's a beautiful experience. First of all, I'm very grateful of this turn because in the first site that I implemented, I just sold my own material, but then I wanted something different. And I
Hmm.
say, what if I invite some of my friends to share the work and we split the money 50-50, like in the way in the way that I wanted some companies to pay. Sadly, that's not the case. That
Hmm.
is my decision nowadays to work fully independent. I don't. I prefer to keep my work for myself and to have this kind of more deeper relationship with what I do. So when we decided to open to friends, right, to send me the materials, right, obviously there are some kind of difficult moments, especially with some people in the community that they are a little bit unstable because that's also part of the artistic kind of culture, right? Some people they have some difficulties that sometimes they treat others in a very harsh way. They are kind of two-sided, a lot of things. Difficult moments that happens, of course, right? There's too much naivety. I said, no, it's everything it's so simple. No, no. There are some sadly old friends that I don't consider my friends anymore because those things were too hard. So I prefer to keep distance. But at the end of the day, I'm very grateful because I have a source of income, right, which is incredible for me. That I have some ideas and I can publish them, and right, it's amazing. So why not? Investing something beautiful, something that has value, at least for me, as I said, that a lot of people in the community are thankful. So that's also guiding me to understand what we do at Mentalism Center is offering something different to other companies in mentalism, right? So for me, again, it's very important to offer as much as possible, as better as
Yeah.
possible, and also in a way to have a range of possibilities. In Mentalism Center, we have very lower price products that are
Oh,
high
it's super
value,
accessible.
right? Right. Something are very cheap
Oh
because
yeah.
I wanted to offer them as a way to introduction. And
Hmm.
then obviously there's the middle range of more kind of intermediate content. And then obviously the advanced kind of expensive books that they are not for everyone, of course, but they offer something such with such uniqueness that they also can have a platform at the side, right? So there's something for everyone. As you said, it's kind of a constant learning, a
Hmm.
university, a place of expansion. In whichever style you have, we can assist you in your development as mentalist, as mystery performer.
Well, I find that what sets mentalism center apart of others is it's more emotionally driven.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's more focused on the contact with the participant and the
yeah,
exchange
exactly.
than the method, you know? Because like
Yeah,
you're saying,
yeah, yeah,
if you don't do a center tear, you might get to peak whatever other way. That's not
yeah,
important, you know, it's all the rest.
exactly right. Yeah,
And
we
so
have a lot of tools, but
yeah,
they're
whatever suits you,
secondary. What is relevant is why are you doing that experience, and
your
we focus a lot
justification.
of that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And for someone who would be interested in trying to implement their ideas, what suggestions would you do, like, for them to try and maybe be, would you suggest for them to try be independent, or if they want to try and send their stuff to other people, what would you recommend, like, for
Mhm.
someone who wants to send out an idea?
Yeah, yeah. In my experience, at least, is explore all the possibilities that you allow yourself to understand failures as learnings. Because I was joking with a friend a few days ago that for one success, there's kind of five mistakes in that
Yeah.
kind of ratio. So you need to be persistent. You need to be very connected to what we do outside of goals. As you said moments ago, that I want to do this because I want this. No, just want that. The first,
Hmm.
learn how to do the center turn. Learn how to engage with someone. Whatever happens in the performance is the experience of the performance, right? You can't control that. What you can manage is your own techniques and that, right? So it's very important for me to explore, to be open, to understand that what you do and how you do it is not the only way.
Hmm.
And if you have a way, cool. But if you want to explore and expand, there are myriad of possibilities. And that kind of awareness allows you to find this this gratefulness, this genuine smile of curiosity, right? Curiosity is a predisposition of creativity. Because if you feel that you know everything, you will do
Ego,
nothing, right? Yeah,
ego.
right. We need to dilute that ego for a moment. Okay, surprise me creativity. Ah, or that. Okay, okay. And what if this, oh, all right, and becomes a kind of cosmic playfulness in your mind, right? So be open, explore, have fun, find the meaning, find yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that that's something too that comes back in these conversations is that when we're children, we learn by imitation and by play.
Exactly.
And mistakes are welcome because that is the lesson.
Exactly. Right?
That's where you grow, you know. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
when you
yeah.
become an adult, you need to work, which means not play.
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
mistakes
And
are
not
set aside.
failure.
And no more
Exactly.
failure.
Exactly. No,
You know?
that's again anti-creativity. That's
Exactly.
anti-creativity.
It's hard in today's society, but if you know, I think that if people can try to strive to find
Yeah.
that in the harmlessly way, because everyone's day to day is different, obviously. But if
Yeah.
you're serious about like you want a performance of that, I think that that is something that maybe it's worth looking into.
Yeah, and that I feel that is also very important. We need to be to realize that we choose how to participate in society.
Yeah.
And
Yes. Yeah.
in simple words, at least in my way, I don't care about sports. I don't care about the ideologies of politics. I don't care about the last gossip of whatever or what Trump is saying, or I don't care nothing about that. And
Hmm.
I don't connect about that. I don't have television. I don't read the news. Sometimes, obviously, by cultural basis, we need to know a few things. Not too much detachment, but a lot of detachment. Because if you don't choose that, especially with social media, the algorithm, all that, the machine will choose where to connect,
Oh yeah,
where
for
you
sure.
connect, right? No,
Yeah.
and I am very against that. I am free in my time. Sometimes I am in silence and I connect to myself, and that's where the real magic is, right? So we need to learn how to detach from everything that is not even relevant, important, urgent. All that goes away because I need time to explore this. If I don't have time, I will be in that kind of fever of whatever of everything that happens in the news, right? I don't care about it. Why? Yesterday's news are not relevant today, and tomorrow happens the same. So I prefer the real good news about the creativity, the curiosity, the a new method for this, right? That's fun. That's expansion, not the other thing, right?
See, that reminds me of two expressions before we get ready to end this. Is that like the expression is that little people talk about other people,
Yeah,
average people talk about material, and great
yeah,
people talk about ideas. You know?
exactly, exactly. That's the point. Yeah,
Yeah. So just so before we get ready to leave, well, first of all, thank you so much for your time. I know we've been trying to schedule this, on and off, but with our lives and everything, it's not so obvious and everything. So I really
yeah,
appreciate taking the time. It's always super fun.
yeah.
And
Agree.
just is there any projects like maybe people should keep an eye out in regards to you? There's new things coming out. We're ending the
Yeah,
year
yeah,
in a couple of weeks, so 2026 right around the corner here.
yeah, yeah. I don't think that for 2025 is something. Maybe next year, or maybe I will record a lecture. We are doing a lecture series about mentalism as art, as science, as philosophy, and as mysticism.
Hmm.
All the four pillars of gnosis in Greek philosophy. We have already the mentalism as art. I am prepared the mentalism as science, right?
Oh,
So
nice.
in which we see the scientific aspect of why mentalism work, the confrontation of the experience in neurological aspects, right? The studies about awe and all that, right? So maybe I will record this in December, maybe next week, next year, but there's a ton of projects coming. So stay in touch at Mentalism Center.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time and hopefully keep in touch in the near future.
Of course. Bye bye.